the video Food Evolution, there was a lot of points that were made that I definitely took in perspective. But when one of the viewpoints, like one of the groups, like there was a lot of more people who were like anti, like very, very against it, like in Hawaii, but then like they changed it for the papaya farmers who definitely like, I understand that like jobs are important and everything, but it's like when it comes down to it, if they're so against GMOs, why are they allowing like plants like papayas and other ones to continue growing? But then in Africa, they definitely did, like they were so like pro and wanted to go like get those fruits and everything so that those communities can have those resources that they are not getting as like, you know, a community. Because like even like if you think about it, we take a lot of our produce and a lot of our like fruits like papayas and pineapples and a lot of like fruits that come across the country that like we all use, every single one of us as an American as a whole. And definitely like Jeffrey Smith, he definitely made a point in when they were talking with the council about the papayas, but it definitely like crossed my mind and I was like, well, you saying that like, because he kept saying that they were so bad for us and that all of these like chemicals and everything that's put inside of GMOs are going to harm the human body. But he also never did have any scientific fact that pointed to that it was harming the human body. Because if you think about it, like really all of us, really all of us, like since like forever as like I've been alive, like we've all congested GMOs and we've all had like foods that have been genetically modified. But, you know, there's no cases showing that people are dying from this. And when they brought in the fact about autism, there's a lot of cases that autism comes from a lot of things. It's not just from GMOs. It could even be from like the genes that the mother and the father have, because if they carry those gene cells, they can produce it to the offspring. It's, you know, there's so many different things that could be happening to go along with autism that it's not just based on like GMOs and what is being produced and everything else. I definitely liked the ones who like March Against Myths. I liked their thing because like they went up to Zen Honeycutt, who I didn't like what she had to say because she was just kept sitting there saying that like it's so bad for our children, it's so bad for like what we are providing and all of this, but like she never told the world like actual facts going behind it. And then March Against Myths, yeah, that they definitely like asked her questions and like was like, you know, trying to get like some information from her, but she didn't give any information at all, which definitely like makes you question if she actually knows scientifically that it is harmful for children to be ingesting either from like the mother's breast milk or to be ingesting those foods in general. Because like personally, like I've eaten modified foods and like I've been fine. I've like never had any like side effects. I've never been sick. I've never, you know, like I don't get sick based off of like what I'm eating. And it's just like a lot of those points that like they were talking about, it makes me question if like they actually went back and did more research talking about like if children were actually getting harmed from this. There are definitely like a lot of pros and cons, really. Like there's a lot of pros, like because it's feeding our community, it's like producing more crops, it's like really it's not even that harmful and it's like actually helping. But then one of the cons is that it's killing off like bees and like certain insects that we actually need to help produce like flowers and trees and like other things that we need inside this world. And like it definitely makes there's another con and like I can't even think of it right now, but like I don't know, there's like more cons because like there's definitely like if you think about it, like the pesticides and everything that they are spraying onto those could be concerning to the human public because like there's definitely like pesticides and stuff. But even if like in normal farms there's always going to be pesticides killing off like caterpillars, the bugs that like want to get in, the worms, everything, you know. Because even like say an apple tree, like you always spray the bottom of it, like, or the leaf, or like you always spray it just to make sure that, like, you know, there's no worms getting into the fruit, there's no like bugs trying to eat the bark, you know, you always just make sure that like you try and like take care of the fruit. Definitely another con is that it's not really getting, like, there's not enough food being produced still, if that makes sense. Because, like, yeah, we as a whole, like in America, are getting like the sources that we need and the foods that we need and everything, but like countries like Africa, they're not getting those sources. They're like lacking food a lot more than us. So like that's definitely another con, is like we aren't really as a whole producing enough food to support other countries like they're supporting us. Ooh, definitely after watching this video, I like started out watching the video and I was like, no, I'm definitely like against GMOs. Like it definitely like is horrible and everything. But then like watching the video, you know, it was just like when Bill and I was like, you know, this changed my mind. Like there's a lot of new aspects that like I can look at, and like a lot of new facts that were said, and like they did bring up, like the people who actually like were supporting it were bringing up the most information and the most scientific facts to support their background knowledge. But then the people who were anti, they just seemed like they were going based off of what was being told by them on the news, or based like being told on like social media, because definitely social media has an impact on like everything in this world. Because if you think about it, social media is where everyone gets every information about the world. I mean, the coronavirus, everyone blown up, like social media blew up about it like instantly. But like social media, because of like so many people being against it, they're like sitting there starting arguments and like starting, you know, protests and everything, and like starting web pages talking about how bad it is. But really, a lot of the things that like we as a whole ingest are genetically modified. Because if you think, I keep saying that, but like strawberries, like those ones in the store, because like I have a ranch in Nebraska and we grow fruit and everything, and there's definitely like a lot, like ours aren't genetically modified, but like if you see the ones in the store, like you can tell the difference. But then it's like we also are getting more product than what we would be getting from normal, just like organic foods, because they aren't being able to produce enough. And in Africa there is, and in Hawaii, there's a lot of more plants that are just dying off, because when they showed in the thing talking about how it was like, there's a picture of like the papaya thing, and like half of it was just not GMO, and in the middle there were ones that were contained with GMO, and those were the ones that were growing the most, and the ones that were dying off were the ones that had none. So it's like those countries and those like places are starting to lose their like resources for food. Like Uganda, they're losing their resources for bananas, which is everything that they need to like, you know, get the protein and like the nutrients and everything that we as Americans need for our body. But there was definitely like, when she at the end in Africa, when they were talking about, because they used to be against it like in the beginning of the video, and then they saw that the genetically modified banana trees were not getting like the wilt or anything, they weren't getting like turning black in the inside, they were definitely like growing, and they were like producing more and more, and they just continued to keep growing. Which as a like, well, in Africa, like, because they don't have that much supplies, they need food like that. They need their resources to continue to keep growing and growing and growing, just like in Hawaii, where they don't have all the resources. I Well, I just like with the American consumers, there's a lot like more like people who are consuming it, and at like the beginning, like with the Hawaiian County Council, that like definitely threw me off when they were like, we're against it, and then they said that like it was fine for the papaya trees to still continue to grow, because it's like those people aren't keeping their opinions. They're like going back and forth, and it's like, even when they had the debate at the like near the end of the video, the one of the guys who was very, very, very against it, he even was saying that there's definitely good pros and good, like, aspects that would happen to help America, but he was still, like, very against it. But it's just, like, it makes you rethink, because it's like, if those people were so against it in the beginning, but then they're able to, like, change their mind, like, are those products actually as bad as what they're telling us they are, or are they just trying to scare us and think that organic food is what we need, even though it's not going to be able to, like, continue to keep this world going, as, like, more and more people keep getting added to it, because babies are born every day, like, kids and adults and everyone, like, people are constantly getting made into this world, so our population grows every day. So it's like, we need these aspects to be able to, like, live as a whole and be able to, like, help our countries and everything get the produce that they need. And then another thing that threw me off was definitely when they talked about, like, golden rice making, like, causing blindness in children, but they, like, again, they didn't have the background knowledge behind it to support it. So it's like, you guys are saying that it's so bad, but then you're not proving that, like, it's actually, like, causing it. Because if, I feel like it definitely would, like, give you a better aspect if you definitely, like, thought about it and you, like, got the scientific information and you talked to, like, doctors and everyone. Because then Honeycutt, she didn't go to, like, anyone. She didn't, like, she went to a special allergist, but even then she didn't even tell us, like, if she got back the results that she needed. She just, like, you know, went on with the conversation, and they talked about her website that's, like, taking mothers, like, urine samples and their breast milk samples to see if that they have those. But again, like, yeah, they're getting tested, but how do you fully know if those are added into you? Because it's like, yes, those are harming your children, but, you know, children have allergies to everything. You don't know, like, if it's just the food type. Like, I believe that she should have taken her kid to a normal allergist just to see, like, what kind of allergies their first would be, and then take her to a, like, the special one that she did, because it makes more sense to see if she has, like, a normal food allergy to certain things, instead of, like, automatically thinking that it's GMO, like, consumption. And don't get me wrong, I totally, like, believe in, like, organic and small scale farmers. Like, I definitely, like, support them and everything. But even in the small, like, scale ones, in, like, a corn farmer who was in Uganda, he wasn't, like, producing enough. He even said that he needed the GMOs, like, you know, he needed to be able to produce enough for the country, because it wasn't going to be an end. And it kind of broke my heart, because he was, like, crying, not crying, but his eyes, like, got all watery, like, after he had stated that. But this video definitely, like, makes you rethink what GMOs are doing to your body, but they also make you think, are GMOs actually that harmful for your body?